This lounge is for first-class passengers only. You need to leave, now. Derek Whitmore grabbed the worn canvas tote from the armrest. He dropped it near the entrance. The thud echoed. Contents spilled. Paperback, water bottle, glasses case. He didn't bend to help, just pointed at the exit like shooting a stray dog. Around Naomi Grant, the VIP lounge gleamed with wealth. Hermes bags, Tom Ford suits, Chanel dresses. She sat among them in a faded Yale sweatshirt, dark jeans, white sneakers, no jewelry. 4 empty seats surrounded her. No one sat close. Derek's voice carried. Look around you. Everyone here belongs. You clearly don't. 30 heads turned. 3 phones started recording. Naomi stood slowly, collecting her things. Her voice stayed quiet. May I speak with your supervisor? Derek's smile sharpened. I am the supervisor. Security's on their way. Have you ever been judged so completely that strangers felt entitled to humiliate you in public? 11:47 a.m. 10 minutes until boarding. Derek had watched Naomi enter 5 minutes earlier. Everyone else in the lounge fit. Designer luggage, tailored clothing, confident strides. She didn't. He'd whispered to his staff member, a young blonde woman in uniform. How'd she get in? Did you check her? The woman shrugged. Automatic gate, I think. Right. They always find a way. Now Derek stood over Naomi's scattered belongings, arms crossed. Ma'am, I need to see your boarding pass. Naomi handed him her phone. Digital boarding pass displayed clearly. Derek barely glanced. This lounge requires premium credentials. American Express Centurion. Priority Pass Prestige. You have neither. Actually, I have both. Naomi reached for her tote. Derek raised his palm. Ma'am, I've been doing this for 12 years. I know who belongs here. A woman in a Burberry coat leaned toward her husband. Something's off. She doesn't look right for this place. Derek's 2 staff members exchanged glances. One suppressed a smile. Naomi's phone lit up. Board meeting 2 p.m. flashed across the screen. Her tote bag, worn but quality canvas, had embossed initials NEG. The book she'd been reading, The New Jim Crow, had a Harvard Business School bookmark visible. Across the lounge, Maya Lane looked up from her laptop. 29, Asian-American tech journalist with 50,000 Twitter followers. She watched Derek block Naomi's view of the buffet. I watched him tap his watch deliberately. Maya opened Instagram, started a live stream. At Maya Speaks Truth going live. VIP lounge manager racially profiling a woman at Gate C. Viewer count 47, 89, 156. Derek stepped closer. Look, I don't have time for this. Security is on their way. He gestured at Naomi's sweatshirt, her sneakers. Our clientele expects a certain standard. An elderly white man in a cashmere cardigan spoke up. Maybe she's lost, young man. These lounges can be confusing. Derek nodded gratefully. Exactly, sir. I'm just trying to help. Naomi stood, gathering her spilled items with careful dignity. I understand you're doing your job. May I show you my credentials? I told you, security's coming. Derek's voice rose. This needs to stop being difficult. The overhead PA crackled. Flight 4127 to London Heathrow, now boarding Zone 1, Gate C14. Derek smiled. There's your flight. Coach boarding is down the hall. Naomi checked her watch. The attentive observer might notice it was a Patek Philippe Nautilus, understated but extraordinary. 9 minutes, she said quietly. 2 uniformed officers arrived. 1 black man, 1 Latina woman, Officer James Porter and Officer Carmen Ruiz. Derek briefed them loudly. She's refusing to leave. No valid credentials for this lounge. Porter looked uncomfortable. Ma'am, can you show us your boarding pass? Naomi handed her phone to Porter, not Derek. Porter's eyes widened, reading the screen. This shows Seat 1A. That's... Derek interrupted. Probably a screenshot from Google. Check the barcode. Porter scanned it. Valid, first class, Gate C14. Derek's face reddened. Well, that still doesn't give her lounge access. She needs... Naomi reached into her tote, pulled out a slim leather card holder. Derek snatched it from her hand. The lounge went silent. Maya's live stream viewer count hit 2,847. Derek flipped it open. American Express Centurion card. The black card. Priority Pass Prestige, Platinum Tier. His jaw tightened. But instead of apologizing, he held the cards up to the light. These could be stolen. Identity theft is extremely common. I need to verify with American Express that... He just grabbed it from her hand. someone typed in Maya's live stream chat. This is insane, another wrote. Maya narrated quietly into her phone. He's now claiming her legitimate cards are stolen. She's shown everything he asked for. Everything. A black woman in a Navy business suit stood up. Keisha Williams, 35, corporate attorney. I've been watching this whole thing. She showed you everything. Let her fly. A young white woman joined Maya's angle, filming from another perspective. Sarah Brighton, 27, graphic designer. An Indian-American man in surgical scrubs set down his coffee. Dr. Raj Patel, 45. This is discrimination. I'm a witness if she needs one. But the woman with the Hermes Birkin shook her head. He's just following protocol. Some people always make everything about race. The man in the Tom Ford suit folded his newspaper. I travel every week. Standards exist for a reason. You can't just let anyone in. Derek's phone rang. He answered, putting it on speaker. Tom, I've got a situation. The woman refused to leave, causing a scene. His regional manager's voice crackled through. Is she threatening anyone? Violent? Derek looked at Naomi's calm face. She's being non-compliant. Disruptive. Then you have my authorization. Remove her. We can't have this in a premium space. Derek turned to the officers. You heard him. Escort her out. Use reasonable force if necessary. Porter hesitated. Sir, her credentials check out. I don't think... Are you questioning my authority? Derek's voice sharpened. Because I can make a call about that too. Officer Ruiz touched Naomi's elbow gently. Ma'am, please, just come with us. We can sort this at the gate. Naomi nodded slowly. Officer Porter, Officer Ruiz, may I have your names and badge numbers for my records? Both provided them without hesitation. Derek sneered. Oh, so now you're filing a complaint. Good luck with that. Naomi pulled out a small leather notebook, wrote carefully. Names, badge numbers, timestamps. Derek watched her write, his confidence building. What are you, some kind of activist? Journalist? The PA announced final boarding for Flight 4127. Derek picked up the desk phone. Gate C14, hold boarding on Flight 4127. Potential security issue with passengers in Seat 1A. Naomi was surrounded now. Security behind her. Derek in front. 2 staff members blocking the jet bridge entrance. 50-plus lounge guests watching. 12,000 people watching online. Derek leaned against his desk, arms crossed. Victory in his smile. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize for wasting everyone's time, then you're going to miss your flight, and maybe we won't press trespassing charges? Keisha Williams shouted from her seat. This is illegal! Someone call a lawyer! Derek didn't even look at her. Feel free. Until then, she stays right here. Naomi took a long breath, set her tote bag down carefully on a chair. You're absolutely right, she said. Derek blinked. What? I should have been clearer from the start. Naomi's voice was steady, almost apologetic. I apologize for the confusion. Derek's smile spread wide. The Hermes woman nodded approvingly. The Tom Ford man resumed reading his paper, satisfied. Well, Derek said, magnanimous now. Thank you, that's all I wanted. Now if you'll just... Before I go, Naomi interrupted gently. May I make one phone call? It'll take 30 seconds. Derek waved his hand. Fine, make it quick. Naomi pulled out her phone. For a split second, Maya's camera caught the screen as she scrolled her contacts. The name was visible. Martin Rothschild Chair, Metro Airport Authority. Naomi lifted the phone to her ear. The line connected. She looked directly at Derek. Martin, it's Naomi Grant. I'm at Metropolitan Gate C. We need to talk about your VIP lounge management. 11:52 a.m., 5 minutes until boarding ends. Derek's smile vanished. Officer Porter's eyes closed briefly. Maya's live stream exploded. Viewer count 14,567. Naomi had put the call on speaker. Her voice stayed calm. Yes, Martin. I'm standing in your VIP lounge right now. The manager, Derek Whitmore, has been very thorough explaining your policies. Martin Rothschild's voice crackled through. Miss Grant? What happened? He's informed me I don't meet the standards for this space. Pause. I'm in Terminal B. 4 minutes. Whatever happened, we'll address it. Naomi ended the call. Silence filled the lounge. Maya's chat erupted. Wait, Naomi Grant. Is that the CEO? Google her now. Sarah Brighton pulled up her iPad. Found a Forbes article, held it beside Naomi's face. Same woman, headline visible. Naomi Grant, the $847 billion woman redefining ethical investment. The Hermes woman grabbed her phone, typed frantically. My face went white. She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. Tom Ford man pulled out his iPhone, Googled, read. His newspaper slipped from his fingers. She's Board of Directors, American Airlines, United Delta. His wife leaned over, reading. Metropolitan Airport Authority Board. Maya narrated into camera, voice shaking. Naomi Grant manages $847 billion in assets. She sits on this airport's governing board. She literally helps run this place. Derek tried to speak. His mouth opened. Nothing came. He tried again. I had no way of knowing. Naomi turned to face him fully. Her voice stayed quiet. No way? What would have told you? A designer suit, jewelry, a louder voice? Derek's two staff members stepped away from him. The blonde woman whispered urgently, I told you to just check her credentials properly. The elderly couple in Burberry coats stood abruptly. The husband grabbed their carry-ons. Dear, we need to. Maya swung her camera toward them. Oh no, where are you going? You just said she didn't belong here. They hurried toward the exit, heads down, refusing to look at anyone. The Hermes woman suddenly spoke up, voice desperate. I didn't say anything, I was just sitting here. Keisha Williams stood, holding up her phone. I recorded audio. You said, and I quote, some people always make everything about races. The woman's face crumbled. Derek found his voice again, frantic now. Miss Grant, this was a misunderstanding. A simple, was it? Naomi reached into her tote bag, pulled out a business card, handed it not to Derek but to Officer Porter. Porter read it aloud, his voice professional but strained. Naomi Elizabeth Grant, Chief Executive Officer, Meridian Capital Group, Board Member, Metropolitan Airport Authority, American Airlines, United Airlines, Delta Airlines. He looked up at Derek. Something like pity crossed his face. Naomi continued, her tone unchanged. Derek, you asked if I was a journalist or activist. She pulled out a tablet from her tote. The worn canvas bag had been hiding quality all along. She swiped to a document, turned the screen toward him. I'm neither, but I do sit on several boards. And I provided financing for infrastructure projects. She showed him a signature page. Complex legal language, dollar amounts with many zeros. Her signature at the bottom, dated 2019. This lounge, the entire VIP program, the terminal renovation? Derek stared at the screen. Meridian Capital provided $340 million in financing. We hold 18% equity in this terminal. She let that sink in. You've been working in a building my company partially owns for 4 years. Every paycheck you've received, partially funded by my firm's investment. The Tom Ford man made a small, choking sound. Derek's hands were shaking now. How could I? You couldn't know, Naomi agreed. But you made assumptions. You looked at my clothes, my skin, and decided I didn't belong. Then you escalated, grabbed my property, threatened me with force. She paused. The question isn't what you didn't know, it's what you assumed. The Hermes woman stood suddenly. I tried to tell him. I said he shouldn't do this. Keisha's voice cut across the lounge. That's a lie. I have a video. You nodded when he said she didn't meet standards. Maya's live stream was being screen recorded hundreds of times. The chat scrolled too fast to read. Hashtags forming. #Metropolitan Airport Racism, #Naomi Grant, #VI Plounge Discrimination. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. Fast, urgent. A man in an expensive charcoal suit appeared at the entrance, slightly out of breath. Martin Rothschild, 64 years old, silver hair, chairman of the Metropolitan Airport Authority Board. His eyes found Naomi immediately. He crossed the lounge in 6 strides. Miss Grant. His voice carried the weight of someone who understood exactly how bad this was. I am profoundly sorry for... Naomi raised one hand, not rudely, just enough to stop him. Martin, please, let's handle this systematically. She turned to Derek. Tell Mr. Rothschild exactly what happened. Leave nothing out. Derek's voice cracked. She arrived, and I asked for credentials. Be specific, Naomi said quietly. What made you approach me in the first place? Derek looked at the floor. You weren't dressed like... I looked like I didn't belong. Continue. He described each step. Each word sounded worse when repeated. The grabbing of her bag, the assumption of theft, the threat of force. Martin's expression hardened with each sentence. When Derek finished, Maya stepped forward. I have the entire incident on live stream. 17 minutes of footage, 14,000 live witnesses. It's been screen recorded thousands of times already. Dr. Patel spoke up. I'll provide a written statement. This was clear racial profiling. Keisha added, I fly every week for work. I've never seen him check credentials this aggressively, certainly not with white passengers in casual clothes. The Tom Ford man tried to edge toward the exit. Stay, Naomi said. Not loudly, but he froze. She looked at Martin. We need to talk, but first, she checked her watch. I have a flight to catch. Martin immediately picked up the desk phone. Gate C-14, this is Martin Rothschild. Hold flight 4127 for Miss Grant, VIP passenger. Yes, I'm aware it's past final boarding. Hold the flight. He hung up. I turned to Naomi. Your flight will wait. Take whatever time you need. Naomi nodded once. Then she turned to face the entire lounge. Her voice carried without shouting. I want everyone here to understand something. I didn't reveal who I was immediately because I wanted to see how far this would go. I wanted to see if credentials would matter, if respect was possible without status. She gestured to her sweatshirt, her jeans. I shouldn't need to be a CEO to be treated with dignity. A janitor wearing the same outfit with valid credentials deserves the exact same respect. The lounge was absolutely silent. But since we're here and since status apparently matters, she looked at Derek, then at the passengers who'd supported him. Let me be very clear about the consequences. She pulled up her tablet again, opened a spreadsheet. Martin, Derek stopped 47 passengers in this lounge last year. 41 were black, Latino, or Asian. 6 were white, all elderly or disabled. 0 white passengers aged 25 to 55 in business casual. Martin's face went ashen. Those numbers represent a clear pattern. Title VI violations carry federal penalties up to $50,000 per incident. She looked at Derek. Your employment contract, Section 12, allows immediate termination for discrimination. I reviewed it when we financed this terminal. Derek's knees buckled slightly. Naomi turned to the Hermes woman, the Tom Ford man. You weren't employees, but you were complicit. You used privilege, expensive clothes, the right appearance, to support discrimination. The Hermes woman's face was streaked with tears. I have your faces on camera, Maya said quietly. And your words. Naomi checked her watch one final time. Martin, I need to board, but we're not done. I'll be back in 72 hours. We're going to fix this, all of it. She picked up her tote bag, collected her belongings, straightened her Yale sweatshirt. Then she walked toward the jet bridge. Officers Porter and Ruiz stepped aside respectfully. Derek stood frozen. Martin stood frozen. 50 passengers stood frozen. Only Maya kept her camera rolling. Viewer count, 31,204. 3 hours later, London Heathrow, British Airways first-class lounge. Naomi sat in a quiet corner, laptop open. Her flight had been smooth. No one had questioned her presence here. The lounge attendant had greeted her by name. Her phone buzzed. Text from Martin. Can we talk? I've begun an internal review. She didn't reply yet. Instead, she opened her tablet, pulled up the file she'd been preparing for 3 months. Maya's live stream had gone viral. 4.7 million views across platforms. News outlets were calling. CNN, BBC, the New York Times, local stations in every major city. But Naomi wasn't interested in media attention. She was interested in systems. She opened a spreadsheet. Data she'd requested from Metropolitan Airport in January, months before this incident. Passenger complaint logs, demographics of credential checks across all terminals, staff training records, promotion patterns. The numbers told a story Derek didn't know he was part of. She made 3 phone calls. First, her general counsel at Meridian Capital. Pull our investment agreements with Metropolitan Airport Authority. Every clause. I want to know our leverage points. Second, her head of ESG compliance. Environmental, social, governance audit of Metropolitan. Full scope. I want it on my desk in 48 hours. Third, her executive assistant. Clear my schedule for Friday. I'm flying back early. Book the Airport Authority boardroom for 2 p.m. Then she texted Martin. Friday, 2 p.m., boardroom. Bring your COO, HR director, and legal counsel, non-negotiable. His reply came in seconds. We'll be there. Naomi closed her laptop, sipped her tea. The lounge around her was quiet, civilized. Everyone belonged because everyone was treated like they belonged. She thought about Derek, about the Hermes woman, about the Tom Ford man. They weren't monsters. They were symptoms, and she was about to cure the disease. Friday, 1:58 p.m., Metropolitan Airport Authority boardroom. Martin sat at the head of the table. Beside him, Jennifer Cow, COO, Robert Mills, HR Director, Patricia Vance, General Counsel. All four looked like they hadn't slept. Naomi entered at exactly 2 o'clock. Same Yale sweatshirt, same jeans, same white sneakers. Patricia Vance's eyes widened slightly. A test. Naomi registered the reaction. "Thank you for meeting on short notice." Naomi set her tablet on the table. I didn't sit still. "Miss Grant," Martin began, "I want to start by saying Derek Whitmore has been terminated. Effective immediately. No severance. We've also suspended—" Naomi held up one hand. "I know. I reviewed the termination paperwork. Section 12, Clause 4, you followed protocol." She paused. "But Derek isn't the problem. He's a symptom." She tapped her tablet. The boardroom's screen lit up. A presentation loaded. "I'm going to show you what systemic discrimination looks like. Then I'm going to tell you how to fix it. Then you're going to implement every single recommendation. Or," she looked at Patricia, "Meridian Capital will exercise our early repayment clause." Patricia's face went pale. "That's $340 million. We can't—" "I know you can't. So let's fix the problem." Naomi advanced the first slide. Credential checks, Metropolitan Airport VIP lounges 2024, 473 total checks across 5 terminals. Derek's Lounge, 47 checks. Terminal A, 91. Terminal D, 138. Next slide. Demographics, 68% of checks, people of color, 32% white passengers. Yet your passenger demographic data shows 52% white travelers in premium cabins. She let that land. That means people of color are checked at more than double the rate of white passengers, despite being the minority in these spaces. Robert Mills spoke carefully. Could that reflect different presentation of credentials? Some passengers don't have documents ready? Naomi advanced to the next slide. Security camera stills, time-stamped. White passenger, Terminal A, April 14th, casual clothes, no visible credentials, walk directly to the buffet. No one approaches. Stay 40 minutes. Next image. Black passenger, same terminal, April 14th, 20 minutes later. Business suit. Visible priority pass lanyard. Stopped within 90 seconds. Checked twice. Robert said nothing. "These patterns," Naomi continued, "create legal exposure under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Federal funding, $127 million annually, is contingent on non-discrimination compliance." Jennifer Cow leaned forward. "What are you proposing?" Naomi advanced to a new section. 7 requirements, all non-negotiable. Requirement 1, personnel. Derek Whitmore is terminated, but he's not alone. I want full performance reviews of all VIP lounge managers. Anyone with disproportionate credential check patterns, audit and retrain. Second offense, termination. Requirement 2, financial accountability. Derek's would-be severance, $45,000, donated to NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Metropolitan matches it, $90,000 total. Requirement 3, training. Every customer-facing employee, not online modules, in-person, 8-hour anti-bias training, external facilitator Dr. Linda Washington, quarterly refreshers. Attendance is mandatory for continued employment. Martin was taking notes. Fast. Requirement 4, technology and oversight. Install visible cameras with audio in all VIP lounges. Footage reviewed weekly by a diversity committee, which you'll create. Anonymous passenger reporting system. QR codes at every table. Requirement 5, data transparency. Monthly demographic reports on all credential checks. Race, gender, age, any statistical anomalies trigger automatic review. Data presented at every quarterly board meeting. She paused. I attend those meetings. Requirement 6, passenger accountability. Signage in every lounge. If you witness discrimination, report it. Silence is complicity. Passengers who actively support discriminatory behavior, documented, receive formal warnings. Repeat offenders banned from VIP lounges for 12 months. Patricia looked up sharply. We can't ban paying customers without— You can, Naomi said. Your terms of service, Section 8. Management reserves the right to refuse service for conduct detrimental to other passengers. I wrote that clause into your revised TOS when we financed the expansion. Patricia closed her mouth. Requirement 7, leadership diversity. I want a black woman in senior airport operations leadership within 90 days, not a token hire, a qualified professional with budget authority, minimum $5 million decision-making power. She closed her tablet. Those are my terms. You have 30 days to implement items 1 through 4, 60 days for 5 through 7. Martin set down his pen. And if we comply? Then Meridian Capital continues our investment. We support your next expansion. We use this as a case study for other airports. And if we don't, then I call the loan. You halt construction. You explain to the FAA why you lost federal funding, and I testify in every discrimination lawsuit that follows. The room was silent. I don't want to destroy this airport, Naomi said quietly. I want to fix it, but I will not allow my firm's capital to support discrimination. Choose. Martin looked at Jennifer, Robert, Patricia. Some unspoken communication passed between them. He turned back to Naomi. Everything you've outlined is reasonable and necessary. We'll implement all 7 requirements. Good. Naomi picked up her tablet. I'll audit compliance on day 31 and day 61. Miss a deadline, we revisit the conversation. She walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. One more thing. The passengers who supported Derek, the Hermes woman, the Tom Ford man, the Burberry couple, they're in your frequent flyer database. Flag their accounts. First warning, next incident, they're banned. Patricia nodded slowly. Oh, and Martin? Naomi's voice softened slightly. The 3 passengers who defended me, Maya Lane, Keisha Williams, Dr. Raj Patel, 50,000 bonus miles each. Lifetime VIP lounge access, all your partner airports. Send it with a personal note. Martin smiled for the first time. Already done. This morning. Naomi nodded. Then we're finished here. She left the boardroom. The door closed softly behind her. Inside, the 4 executives sat in silence. Finally, Jennifer spoke. How did we not know she was on the board? Martin rubbed his eyes. We knew. We just forgot that board members are also human beings who use our facilities. Patricia gathered her files. We have 30 days. I suggest we start now. They did. Day 15. Metropolitan Airport, Terminal C. Martin stood in the VIP lounge at 6 a.m., watching the installation crew mount the final camera. Visible, deliberate, a black dome with a small red light. Beneath it, a placard. This area is monitored for customer protection and staff accountability. Jennifer Cow walked in with a clipboard. All 5 terminals are done by tonight. QR codes on tables tomorrow. Training schedule? Martin asked. Dr. Washington starts Monday. We've blocked 8-hour sessions. First group, 40 employees. Derek's former staff go first. Martin nodded. And the committee? Forming now. 3 board members, 2 passenger advocates, 1 external HR consultant. First meeting Friday. His phone buzzed. Text from Naomi. Progress report? He typed back. On schedule. All deadlines will be met. Her reply was immediate. Good. I'm watching. Day 22. Dr. Linda Washington's training session. 40 employees sat in a conference room, VIP lounge staff from all terminals. Some looked defensive. Others were exhausted. A few genuinely curious. Dr. Washington stood at the front. 60 years old, black woman, gray locks pulled back. Presence that commanded without demanding. Let me be clear, she began. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here to make you better. She clicked to the first slide. Security footage. White man in shorts and a t-shirt walking into Terminal A lounge. No one stopped him. Next slide. Black woman in a blazer, same terminal, 30 minutes later. Stopped before she reached a chair. What's the difference? Dr. Washington asked. Silence. Both had valid credentials, both belonged, but only one was checked. Why? A young white woman raised her hand hesitantly. We make assumptions based on what we expect to see. Exactly. And those assumptions have patterns. Let's look at the data. She pulled up Naomi's spreadsheet. The numbers are stark on screen. For 3 hours, they worked through scenarios, role plays, uncomfortable conversations. By the end, 12 employees were crying, not from shame, from recognition. One middle-aged white man, Terminal D manager, stood during the final session. I never thought of myself as racist, but looking at my check logs, I can't deny the pattern. I need to do better. Dr. Washington nodded. Awareness is the first step. Accountability is the second. Changing behavior is the third. We'll get you there. Day 28, Naomi's phone call. She was in her Meridian Capital office when Martin called. All training is complete. 147 employees. 6 failed the assessment. What happens to them? Naomi asked. Reassigned to non-customer-facing roles, baggage services, administrative work. They keep employment but lose lounge access. Good. Camera system? Operational. The first weekly review is tomorrow. Reporting system? QR codes active. 18 reports filed so far. 17 were resolved within 24 hours. 1 escalated, involved a gate agent, not lounge staff. We're investigating. Naomi made a note. And the ban list? Hermes woman, Tom Ford man, Burberry couple, all formally notified. 1 year probation, any repeat behavior, permanent ban from all VIP facilities. They respond? Tom Ford's lawyer called, threatened to sue. Patricia reminded him we have video evidence and terms of service authority. He withdrew the threat. Naomi allowed herself a small smile. Demographic data? First monthly report attached to this call. You'll have it in your inbox now. She pulled it up on her laptop while they talked, scanned the numbers. Credential checks dropped 63% overall, she observed. We implemented a new policy, Martin explained. Universal protocol. Either check everyone or no one. Can't be selective. Most managers chose universal barcode scanning at entry. Faster, fairer, no discretion involved. Complaints? Down 71%. Customer satisfaction scores up 23%. Naomi leaned back in her chair. You're ahead of schedule. We have to be. Day 31 is in 3 days. You said you'd audit. I will. Day 31. Naomi returns. She arrived at Metropolitan at 11 a.m. Unannounced. Same Yale sweatshirt, same jeans, same white sneakers. I walked into the Terminal C VIP lounge. A new manager stood at the entrance. Black woman, early 40s, professional but warm. Name tag, Keisha Williams. Keisha's eyes widened in recognition, then composed herself, smiled. Good morning. Welcome to our VIP lounge. May I scan your boarding pass? Naomi handed her phone over. Keisha scanned it, nodded. You're all set, Miss Grant. Please make yourself comfortable. Can I get you anything? Coffee, tea? I'm fine, thank you. Naomi walked to the same chair she'd sat in 4 weeks ago, set down her tote bag, pulled out her tablet. Around her, the lounge hummed with quiet activity. A white man in a hoodie and jeans sat nearby, reading. No one had questioned him. An elderly Latina woman in casual clothes enjoyed the buffet. No one approached. At the entrance, a young Asian man in a business suit arrived. Keisha scanned his pass with the same efficiency, same warmth. Naomi watched for 30 minutes, counted 27 passengers entering, every single one scanned at entry. No selective checks, no assumptions. She opened her laptop, logged into the Diversity Committee portal, reviewed last week's camera footage audits, flagged incidents, 0, complaints resolved, 14 out of 14. Her phone buzzed. Text from Martin. I know you're here, cameras picked you up, how are we doing? She typed, come to the lounge, let's talk. 5 minutes later, Martin arrived, sat across from her. You hired Keisha, Naomi said. She was the obvious choice. Corporate attorney, frequent flyer, witnessed the incident firsthand, character beyond question. She started 2 weeks ago. And the senior operations position? Requirement 7? Martin handed her a folder. Sharon Okoye, former Delta VP of Terminal Operations, 20 years experience, just accepted our offer. Starts in 2 weeks. $8 million budget authority. Reports directly to Jennifer. Naomi opened the folder, scanned Sharon's resume. Credentials impeccable. You're under budget and ahead of schedule, she observed. Martin exhaled. Because you were right. This wasn't about Derek. It was about us, our systems, our blind spots. He gestured around the lounge. Look at this place now. It's better, not just legally compliant, actually better. Staff are less stressed. Passengers are happier. Complaints are down. It works. Naomi closed the folder. It works because you made it work. I gave you requirements. You implemented them seriously. You gave us no choice. I gave you exactly one choice. Fix it or lose everything. You chose correctly. Martin leaned forward. 3 other airports have called me. They want our reform template. Word spreading. Good. Send it to them. Make it public. No copyright, no fees. If this works here, it should work everywhere. You're sure? This was never about punishment, Martin. It was about change. She packed her tablet, stood. I'll be back at day 61 for the final audit, but based on today, I'm confident you'll pass. Martin stood as well, extended his hand. Thank you, Miss Grant, for holding us accountable. She shook it. Thank you for listening. As she walked toward the exit, Keisha approached. Miss Grant? Keisha's voice was soft. I just wanted to say thank you for what you did, for all of us who've been where you were. Naomi met her eyes. You defended me when it mattered, when no one else would. That took courage. This, she gestured at Keisha's name tag, is just recognition of what you already had. Keisha's eyes filled. She blinked quickly, nodded. Naomi left the lounge. Walked through Terminal C, past gate agents who smiled, past passengers who didn't give her a second glance, past security who nodded respectfully. She looked like a regular traveler, because that's what she was, and for the first time in this airport, that was enough. Day 45, the ripple effect. Martin's phone rang, CNN, then the Washington Post, then NPR. The Grant Protocol has become a case study. Harvard Business School requested an interview. 3 members of Congress cited it in hearings about transportation equity. 47 airports adopted the framework. United Airlines updated their training. American Airlines revised their lounge policies. Derek Whitmore's name became a cautionary tale in HR departments nationwide, and Naomi Grant's live stream, Maya's recording, had been viewed 8.2 million times. But Naomi herself gave no interviews, made no public statements. She simply returned to work, managed her $847 billion, attended board meetings, reviewed quarterly reports. At Metropolitan Airport, the changes were made. Day 61 audit, perfect compliance, 0 violations, data patterns normalized. Sharon Okoye started her position. Within 3 weeks, she'd identified inefficiencies in baggage handling, improved wheelchair accessibility, and increased staff diversity across all terminals. The airports that adopted the Grant Protocol reported similar results. Complaints down an average of 61%. Customer satisfaction is up. Employee retention improved, not because of punishment, because of systems. And systems, when designed correctly, didn't require heroes. They just worked. For everyone. Day 61, final audit. Naomi walked into Terminal C VIP Lounge at 2 p.m. Same Yale sweatshirt, same jeans, same white sneakers. A deliberate test. Keisha Williams stood at the entrance. The woman who'd defended Naomi 2 months ago now wore a manager's uniform. Welcome back, Miss Grant. Keisha scanned her boarding pass smoothly. Professional. Warm. Your usual spot by the window is available? Naomi moved through the lounge, sat in the exact chair where Derek had humiliated her. The space felt different. Not in decor, in the atmosphere. A young black man in a hoodie sat at the buffet. No one stared. A Latina woman in yoga clothes read a magazine. No whispers. An elderly white couple in Burberry sat beside a Middle Eastern family in modest dress. Natural, unremarkable. Naomi opened her tablet. Reviewed 60 days of data. Credential checks, down 71%. Universal scanning at entry eliminated selective enforcement. Customer complaints, 12 total. All resolved within 24 hours. Demographic patterns, proportional. 52% white, 48% people of color. Matched actual passenger demographics, staff violations, 3 flags, 2 retrained, 1 terminated for reverting to old patterns. Her phone buzzed. Martin, boardroom when you're ready. Metropolitan Airport Authority boardroom, 3 p.m. Martin sat with Jennifer Cow, Robert Mills, Patricia Vance, and a new face. Miss Grant, meet Sharon Okoye, VP of Terminal Operations. Sharon stood. 47, black woman. Confidence. Thank you for making this position possible. Your credentials made it possible, Naomi replied. I just required the opportunity. Martin distributed folders. All 7 requirements met or exceeded, ahead of schedule, under budget. He walked through each point. Requirement 1, personnel. Derek terminated. 6 employees were reassigned to non-customer roles. 1 additional termination for non-compliance during the 60-day period. Requirement 2, financial accountability. $90,000 donated to NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Receipts attached. Requirement 3, training. Dr. Linda Washington had completed sessions with 147 employees. Pass rate, 96%. Quarterly refreshers scheduled. Requirement 4, technology. Cameras operational in all 5 terminals. QR code reporting system live. 62 reports filed. 58 resolved within 24 hours. Requirement 5, data transparency. Monthly demographic reports automated. 0 statistical anomalies flagged since week 4. Requirement 6, passenger accountability. Signage installed. 3 passengers formally warned. 1 new ban was issued. White passenger made racist comments to staff. 12-month ban, no appeal. Requirement 7, leadership diversity. Sharon started 3 weeks ago. $8 million budget authority. Already implemented 6 operational improvements beyond VIP lounges. Sharon spoke. I've identified systemic issues across terminals, wheelchair accessibility gaps, language barriers, TSA checkpoint bias patterns, addressing all of it. Naomi set down her tablet. You've exceeded every requirement. Jennifer leaned forward. Because you were right. This wasn't just legal compliance, it was about being better. Customer satisfaction up 23%, employee retention up 17%, 0 legal threats. 47 airports have adopted your framework, Patricia added. The grant protocol, Martin said. The industry named it that. Naomi pulled up a document. Which is why I'm proposing we formalize it. A non-profit foundation. Purpose, provide free training, oversight templates, consulting to any transportation hub wanting to implement reforms. Martin blinked. You want to scale this nationally? Globally, eventually. Meridian Capital will seed it with $5 million. I've secured matching funds, $10 million total. She looked at Sharon. I want you on the advisory board. Real-world operations expertise. Sharon nodded immediately. Naomi stood. The foundation launches in 90 days. Metropolitan will be the flagship. Other airports will visit, observe, learn. Martin extended his hand. You turned our failure into a blueprint. You turned accountability into action, Naomi replied. As she reached the door, Patricia asked, Why did you wait to reveal who you were? You could have ended it immediately. Naomi paused. Because if I had, Derek would have apologized to the CEO, not to a human being. He needed to see that credentials don't determine worth. She looked at each of them. And everyone watching needed to see it too. 6 months later, Maya Lane published a follow-up article. The Grant Protocol, How One Woman Reformed an Industry. She documented Metropolitan's transformation, interviewed Keisha, Sharon, staff, passengers. The data was stark. 63 airports had implemented the protocol. Customer complaints, down 61% average. Discrimination lawsuits, down 73%. Employee satisfaction, up 19%. 3 major airlines adopted similar frameworks. Maya's final paragraph resonated. Naomi Grant didn't need to reveal her power. She chose to, not for revenge, not for attention, but to prove systems can change when those with power demand it. Derek Whitmore lost a job. Thousands of travelers gained dignity. That's the trade that matters. The article was read 6.2 million times. Naomi never commented. 1 year later, Terminal C. Naomi sat in the VIP lounge, same worn Yale sweatshirt, same jeans, reading quietly. A young black woman in a college hoodie entered, nervous, first-class tickets clutched in shaking hands, scholarship award letter visible. She approached Keisha's desk hesitantly. I think I'm allowed in here? My ticket says... Keisha's voice was warm. Of course. Let me scan your pass. She did, smiled. Welcome. First time flying first class? The young woman nodded. You're going to love it. Buffet's fresh. The coffee bar's excellent. Make yourself comfortable. You belong here. The young woman's shoulders relaxed. She smiled, found a seat. Naomi watched this exchange. Didn't intervene. I didn't need to. The system was working. She returned to her book. Just another passenger, just another person. Finally, simply enough. Derek Whitmore never worked in hospitality again. LinkedIn showed 17 months of unemployment, then a logistics position in another state. Lower pay, no authority. The Hermes woman completed her probation quietly, never caused another incident, never apologized publicly. The Tom Ford man switched airlines, avoided Metropolitan entirely, but Keisha thrived, promoted twice in 1 year. Sharon expanded reforms to baggage claim, ticketing, security checkpoints. Dr. Linda Washington's training became industry standard, and the Grant Protocol Foundation served 127 airports by year 2, not through punishment, through systems. Systems that, when designed correctly, didn't require heroes. They just worked. For everyone. Naomi finished her tea, collected her tote bag, boarded her flight, first class, seat 1A. The flight attendant smiled. "Welcome aboard, Miss Grant." No one questioned her presence. No one grabbed her belongings. No one assumed she didn't belong, because the system finally worked as it should have all along. Dignity wasn't negotiable anymore. It was default. And that, Naomi thought as the plane lifted into the cloudless sky, was the only victory that mattered. 3 years later. Naomi sat in her Meridian Capital office as a Forbes reporter asked the question she'd heard 100 times. "Do you regret how you handled that day?" She set down her pen. "I don't regret waiting to reveal my identity. If I'd said I'm a CEO immediately, Derek would have apologized to power, not learned about dignity. The point was never about me. It was about the janitor in the same outfit who deserves the same respect." The reporter leaned forward. "The Grant Protocol is now in 247 airports globally. What's next? Train stations, bus terminals, public spaces, anywhere people are judged by appearance rather than credentials." What Naomi didn't mention was the data on her screen. Data that told a story more powerful than any interview could capture. Dr. Linda Washington had just testified before Congress. The numbers were irrefutable. 247 airports, 63 train stations, 18 bus terminals. Discrimination complaints down 68%. Legal costs down 81%. Customer satisfaction up 24%. Employee retention up 21%. The committee voted 14-2 to make the protocol federal standard within 18 months. Keisha Williams, the woman who defended Naomi that day, was now Regional Operations Director overseeing 12 airports. Officer James Porter trained every new security officer with a simple mandate. Your badge protects everyone, especially those with least power. Sharon Okoye had expanded reforms to wheelchair accessibility, language services, and TSA checkpoint procedures. Maya Lane's live stream has been viewed 14.7 million times. Her 890,000 followers watched as she documented systemic change across industries. She'd built a career on that 17-minute video, but more importantly, she'd built a movement of witnesses who refused to stay silent. Derek Whitmore never responded to interview requests. His LinkedIn showed logistics work in another state, lower position, no authority over people, no public statements, no apologies, just silence and hopefully different behavior. The Hermes woman completed her probation without incident. The Tom Ford man switched airlines. They'd been complicit, and while they'd faced consequences, the real victory wasn't their discomfort. It was what happened next. At Terminal C VIP Lounge that same afternoon, a teenage Muslim girl in hijab approached the desk nervously. First-class ticket to Boston, MIT scholarship orientation, first time flying alone. Am I allowed?" she asked hesitantly. The manager, a young Latino man, smiled warmly. "Absolutely welcome. Congratulations on MIT. That's incredible." He scanned her pass. "Make yourself comfortable. Everything here is complimentary." The girl's face transformed. Relief, belonging. She found a seat, pulled out her physics textbook, and began studying. No one stared, no one questioned, no one assumed she didn't belong. At a corner table, a woman in a faded sweatshirt watched this exchange and smiled. Not Naomi, just another traveler who remembered when it was different. When belonging requires proving, when dignity was conditional, when respect depended on appearance, now it was default. The system worked. Naomi never wrote a book about that day, never appeared on television, never sought recognition. But her impact was measurable in ways that mattered more than headlines. Harvard Business School taught the Grant Protocol as required curriculum. 3 members of Congress cited it in equity legislation. Airlines worldwide revised policies based on its framework. She kept one photo on her phone. Not of Derek's humiliation, not of her victory. Just a candid shot Maya had sent her, that teenage girl in hijab studying physics in the VIP lounge completely at ease. A stranger Naomi would never meet. Someone who belonged without question, without challenge, without having to prove anything. That was a legacy. Not revenge. Not even justice for herself. Justice for everyone who came after. systems that worked for everyone. Power, Naomi had learned, wasn't about position. It was about choice. She'd chosen to wait, to document, to expose patterns rather than punish individuals. She'd chosen systemic reform over personal satisfaction. She'd chosen to use her influence to protect those without it. 3 years later, that choice protected millions of travelers. Every day, every flight, every person who just wanted to sit quietly and be left alone. Derek lost a job. Thousands gained dignity. That arithmetic mattered more than revenge ever could. Now it's your turn. You just watched how one woman transformed humiliation into systemic change. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Naomi had resources, board seats, influence. Most people facing discrimination don't. They have something else, though. Witnesses, voices, you. Every day, someone is judged by appearance, dismissed by assumptions, humiliated by bias. The next person might not have Naomi's power, but they'll have witnesses. What will you do? Comment below. Share a time you witnessed discrimination. What happened? What did you do? What do you wish you'd done differently? Your story matters. Silence enables broken systems. Speaking up changes them. Share this video. Someone in your network needs to see that dignity isn't negotiable, that systems can change, that power used precisely protects the vulnerable. Subscribe to Black Voices Uncut. Every week we document stories of resistance, resilience, and reform. Real people who refuse to accept injustice as inevitable. Here's what Naomi proved. You don't need to be a CEO to demand change. You just need to refuse silence. Record injustice safely when you see it. Speak up when others stay silent. Stand with the targeted, not the comfortable. Because real power isn't in boardrooms. It's in the collective decision to say, not here, not anymore, not to anyone. Systems change when enough people demand it. Be the witness, be the voice, be the change. You have more power than you think. Use it.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.